No one anticipated that a baby shower would become a battleground. However, the drama quickly erupted once rumors began to circulate about what actually transpired at Shakira's gathering, with claims that a full-scale altercation broke out when party information was published online. All eyes are now on Karlie Yandy Smith, and we're not referring to gender reveals or adorable centerpieces. Behind closed doors, the attention supposedly changed from gentle shade to yelling, and we're talking about secrets and side eyes. Insiders say things quickly became ugly. Karlie's camp maintains that Yandy caused the purposeful sabotage, although Yandy was caught off guard by it herself. The most bizarre aspect is that the leak may have originated from someone in their social group. In an attempt to determine who said what and why Shakira's baby shower became one of the most chaotic events of the season, fans are already picking sides and social media is in a frenzy, ranging from charges of jealousy to assertions that someone was exploiting the occasion to advance their own narrative. Now that the stress is visible, it is personal. What actually took place in the background? Who is telling lies? Who is deflecting? And who is speaking the truth at last? Hold on to your tea, as this isn't simply drama. The war has barely just started. It was intended to be a serene, joyous occasion for Shakira's baby shower. Family and friends had gathered around her with gift bags, warm smiles, pastel balloons, and gentle music. On the exterior, everything was picture perfect. However, something sinister was brewing under those floral arches and matching tablecloths. Discussions in low tones, glances, and murmurs around the catering table. And those whispers were no longer whispers by night's conclusion. They were fully developed. Charges and Yandy and Karlie were the names at the heart of it all, somehow. Nobody is certain how it began. Some claim it was a seating-related remark. Others think it started earlier that week, when an anonymous warning about impending turmoil between the two women was posted on a certain site. The post was explicit, enough to set off a fire, yet it was also ambiguous enough to pique curiosity. And things worsened when the picture from the baby shower began to circulate online. One of the pictures showed Karlie and Yandy in the middle of a dispute. Mouths halted in mid-sentence, eyes narrowed, tension almost palpable in the pixels. In a matter of hours, the picture appeared on every gossip page. Yandy's phone began to explode before she had even reached her house. Fans' direct messages, friend texts, and comments on her postings inquire about the nature of her relationship with Karlie. The worst part was that, since she hadn't made any public statements, she wasn't even sure how to respond. It wasn't until she was tagged in the photo that she even realized it existed. A page with a remark, "Looks like someone brought more than gifts to Shakira's baby shower," included laughing emojis. It dawned on her then. This was something that someone wanted to see. There was a desire to stir things up. And Yandy was fully aware of who that individual might be. At first, she attempted to remain composed. She made a few phone calls too, those present at the party. One of them acknowledged that she and Karlie had spoken, but she was unaware of how serious it appeared to be. Another buddy reported seeing Karlie out multiple times that evening while using her phone. Then the last blow was delivered. A voice message was leaked. Sufficient, even though it wasn't very clear. Yandy's voice was obviously irritated as she said, "Don't play in my face," and fake smiles. In a matter of minutes, blogs were combining the sound with the image. All of a sudden, it was no longer a private dispute. Fans were enthusiastically consuming the reported feud. Karlie, meanwhile, had not yet spoken. She neither confirmed nor denied anything. Recently shared a sweet photo of Shakira with the words, "A beautiful day surrounded by love." People saw that comments under the post were being removed, particularly those that inquired about the Yandy photo. The pressure began to mount at that point. Yandy thought she was being portrayed as the issue once more. She also had no intention of remaining silent this time. The following day, she posted a story. The message said, "I don't throw shade. I bring light. Don't mistake my silence for weakness." Simple, classy, but powerful. Fans naturally related it to the controversy right away, even though there were no direct names or allegations. The remarks began to flood in once more. Everyone was watching, while some pulled her and others protected her. Things were getting out of control by the third day. Another picture was leaked. This one appeared considerably worse. Karlie's expression was twisted, her lips hanging open as if she were about to scream. Yandy had a stern frown and her arms crossed. There were a few visitors in the background who were obviously staring at them. Just like that, the story changed. People were no longer merely speculating about whether something had occurred. They believed as the rumors became louder. Some said Yandy's shady remark during her toast was the reason Karlie was unhappy. Others claimed that Karlie's introduction of Yandy at the event made her feel insulted. Some even claimed that this was merely the impending blow, and that the two had been at odds since the reunion taped months ago. However, that was nothing compared to what happened next. Shakira's close buddy went live after tagging herself during the baby shower. Although she didn't mention names, it was obvious what she meant. According to her, something that wasn't supposed to happen happened. That Shakira felt ashamed in front of relatives who weren't accustomed to TV enthusiasm, and that two women were behaving as though they were at a reunion rather than a baby shower. Though subtle, the internet isn't a fool. Guesses flooded the comment area, with Yandy and Karlie's names at the top of each list. Yandy was furious now. Not only because of the leaks, but also because she wasn't even sure how it began. And suddenly people were disparaging her parenting, reputation, and entire persona. Additionally, when she sought clarification, the only Karlie was the one who appeared to be totally composed amidst the turmoil. The same Karlie who continued to upload immaculate selfies with messages about peace and elevation, despite never having spoken about it in public. At last, Yandy had had enough. She uploaded a video. It's just a woman sitting in her car. Nothing spectacular, no filter, no makeup. Don't get it twisted. I'm not the one. I'm here to preserve my peace, not to dispute, she said. Some people prefer to play the victim when they're the ones with the knife. Within an hour, that video became viral. Additionally, people quickly drew the lines. A conflict that began at a baby shower has now escalated into a full-fledged online battle between teams Yandy and Karlie. Caught in the middle, Shakira attempted to stop it. She wrote a note requesting that guests refrain from using her baby shower as a stage for dramatic events. However, it was too late. The narrative had gained momentum. It was already a show on the internet. Additionally, producers were already preparing how to put it to use on the show, because the drama had become content despite its sadness. Who would emerge unscathed and who would be pulled through the entire ordeal was the only question left. The producers were aware that they were dealing with something combustible, real tension that had already permeated the real environment. Not stage drama or a situation created using editing tactics. And as Yandy shot back, Yandy's voice cracked. Not out of weakness, but from holding in too much. You owe me one. As a woman, as someone who called me a sister. Karlie's face remained motionless. Then maybe you shouldn't have been whispering about me at the party. And there it was, a line that changed everything. Yandy blinked. I don't owe anyone an explanation, and neither do you. You think I didn't hear? Karlie asked in a cool but scathing tone. You and your little side conversations. Talking about how I always need a moment and how I can't stand not being the center of attention. Yandy responded. So that's what this is about. You heard something and decided to start a whole war over it. I didn't start anything, Karlie said, but you did with your tone, with your energy, and with your little comments during the toast. I showed up for that girl's shower out of love, but Yandy shook her head and said, that toast was about Shakira, not you. but leave it to you to find a way to make it about yourself." And just like that, the air thickened. The cameras didn't cut, the crew didn't flinch. This was what they came for. But even they weren't expecting the emotional gut punch that came next. Yandy's voice softened. "And you didn't say a word. You watched it happen." Karlie's expression briefly changed. "I didn't know it would blow up like that," Yandy said. "You didn't care. Hey, that's worse." There was silence once more. Not the dramatic kind, but the quiet that comes when people realize they've hit something deeper than pettiness. "I was humiliated and dragged all over the internet, and people were questioning my integrity, my loyalty, and my womanhood. I wanted to think that maybe this wasn't all intentional, that maybe there was a misunderstanding. But now I see you're more concerned with looking innocent than being real." Yandy grounded herself by wiping her hands over her jeans. Karlie didn't immediately answer, but she looked at her, really looked, and then said, "I'm not the villain in your story. But maybe I stopped trying to be your friend when I realized you only needed me when cameras were rolling." That cut close, Yandy said, not because she was shocked, but because it was too close. She narrowed her eyes and said, "So that's what this is about. You think I used you?" Karlie asked. "I think we both used each other, but at least I'm telling the truth." Slowly, but with determination rather than rage, Yandy got to her feet. "I appreciate the clarity." Karlie remained seated, her jaw tightened and her lips taut. "Are we done?" You gave her a downward glance. "I'm finished." Then she turned to leave. Not quick, not ostentatious. Just finished. The crew remained silent. Since what the producers had just seen wasn't contrived, they remained motionless.
What?
Wrote it? It involved two ladies discovering nothing remained beneath years of superficial relationship. After that, Karlie sat by herself for a bit. She opened Instagram on her phone and gazed over her feed. So many comments, so many likes. However, none of it felt sufficient for the first time in a long time. Yandy was sitting in her car across the lot, breathing, silent and alone. She didn't have to prove anything for once, not because she had one. It was more than sufficient that she spoke the truth. There was nothing but anarchy in the aftermath. The internet seemed like it was hit by a second wave as soon as Yandy left that sit-down. Before the network ever looked at the video, blogs had it. Like digital grenades, clips were being shared, analyzed, subtweeted, stitched, and flung across timelines. Individuals dissected every facial expression, every pause. Each of the two's reticent answers, stating Yandy didn't just walk away. She walked out of a fake friendship built on followers and filtered captions. Another commented, "Karlie sat there looking pretty, but Yandy looked like she was carrying the weight of truth." And while fans were choosing sides like it was a courtroom trial, both women were back in their own worlds, processing in completely different ways. Karlie, true to form, posted a photo the next morning with the caption, "You can't lose when you mind your business." Suddenly, she stepped up her efforts. Yandy remained silent for 2 full days, no tweets, no stories, not even a like-hand people. Began to flood her comments with support. It was a veiled message wrapped in aesthetic energy, but to Yandy, it was loud and clear. She saw it, and it only confirmed what she felt as she walked away. That conversation was never going to be honest, because you can't get closure from someone who still believes they're the victim. Remarks such as, "You're too real for fake people, and you did what needed to be done." But behind that silence, Yandy was hurting not because of Karlie. Not even because of the online commotion, but because she had finally come to terms with the fact that she had been pouring into someone who was never pouring back. That's a difficult reality to face, especially after years of standing up for someone you didn't really know. Producers reached out to Yandy again, this time for a confessional, rather than a confrontation, and they wanted her to speak her piece alone, just a chair, a microphone, and her voice. She agreed, not because she, when the cameras rolled, She wasted no time in adjusting her hoodie, looking straight ahead and saying, "Some people are mad that I didn't let them play the victim. But I'm done apologizing for making people uncomfortable with the truth." She needed to control the narrative, but she was tired of others doing it for her. She didn't mention Karlie once, but she talked about loyalty, about standing up for people who wouldn't stand up for themselves, and about how women are supposed to mend everything: friendships, relationships, and reputations, and when they choose to leave, they are called theatrical or bitter. Rashida acknowledged that she saw it coming, telling Bambi in a private conversation that the tension between Yandy and Karlie had been building for months. But no one wanted to say anything. "It's like watching a glass crack," she said. "You know it's going to break." Meanwhile, the rest of the cast were attempting to deal with the fallout. Some of them shocked, others not so much. Simply said, "You have no idea when." Karlie has been acting strangely, as if she wants peace. But she always has a spark in her back pocket, just in case. Bambi concurred. Even Shakira, the woman whose baby shower was now a viral disaster, finally broke her silence. She did a short video on her page, visibly emotional, where she said, "I didn't ask for this. People seem to have taken advantage of my opportunity to vent their own mess, even though I only wanted to celebrate a new chapter." The video hit a nerve. Comments were split. Some said she was right. Others blamed her for inviting two women she knew had tension. But Shakira stayed firm. She ended the video by saying, I need separation from both of them right now, even though I love them both." Yandy never replied to the leak. She didn't repost it, she didn't comment, and she remained silent. But that silence had caused a whole new wave of drama. Karlie took that personally, unfollowing Shakira that same day, and fans noticed it right away. People began to wonder why Karlie was doing this, a manipulator who was hiding behind glam and shade. Wait, because at this point, fans realized that she didn't need to argue because the truth was speaking for her. Days went by, then a week, and for a while, things seemed to calm down. However, the problem with unresolved emotions is that they don't go away, they wait. When the cast got together again for a group event, tension arrived before either woman did. Sierra had invited them to a pop-up charity event. Karlie arrived later, late enough that people were already watching the entrance. And she entered as if she didn't hear the whispers, smiled, waved, hugged the appropriate people, and then locked eyes with Yandy. Neither of them moved, neither of them spoke, and that silence was louder than anything they'd said in weeks. Something light. The cameras were rolling, but it wasn't meant to be dramatic, just good vibes. Yandy arrived early and greeted everyone with grace, but she made it clear she wasn't here for fake energy. Pulling them apart separately in an attempt to maintain harmony, she said to Yandy, "I love you both. All I want is for this evening to be tidy. I hear you, but don't ask me to fake something that doesn't exist," Yandy said, nodding. "Sis, please, no shade tonight," Sierra replied, nodding. "I came to support, not to swing," she continued. But even as she said that, her tone, the audience watching from home felt every ounce of it, because this wasn't manufactured. This wasn't petty. This was two people who once called each other friends, now looking like strangers. And the scariest part was that neither of them seemed to want to fix it. Not anymore. Not after everything. Not after the leaks. The cameras caught glances, brief moments, and two women in the same space, breathing the same air, miles of silence between them. Sierra didn't miss it. Because when emotions, there were no leaked voice notes, but beneath the surface, people were still talking in salons, on blogs, and in the comments section of every post made by either woman. The quiet had changed from being peaceful to feeling like anticipation, and everyone was waiting for the next move. Yandy remained focused, giving her all to her family, her career, and her groundedness. Her circle grew closer, and she began to say no more frequently. No 2 interviews. No 2 casual get-togethers. and no two producers who asked if she would be amenable to another on-camera resolution. Because when trust is broken, it changes how you move, how you speak, and how you let people back in. Despite everything, she knew something had changed, not just in the show or with Karlie, but inside herself. Karlie, on the other hand, did what she always does and kept it going. Photo shoots, appearances, and cryptic tweets. Nothing messy enough to bring her straight into controversy, but just it was obvious that she wasn't trying to clear her name. She was trying to spin the story, and in some quarters, it was working. While some fans felt Yandy took things too personally, others thought Karlie had been manipulated. There was one thing that all fans agreed upon. Something was different. The tension hadn't gone away. It had simply gone quiet. Then came the reunion taping. The drama didn't wait for permission, despite the producers' best efforts to keep things under control. They set up the schedule so Yandy and Karlie wouldn't be in the same green room, with separate entrances and different prep times. Backstage, rumors began early, and a production assistant noticed Yandy pacing in her dressing room. Her eyes blocked on her phone as if she was reading every headline that included her name in the chaos. Then came the unexpected turn of events. The night before the reunion, a leaked clip from Shakira's own confessional revealed that she had been warned before the baby shower that someone from production had told her not to invite both women because there was tension, unspoken beef, and a risk of things going left. She ignored the warning because she thought they were grown, because she thought she could keep things light, and because she assumed the cameras wouldn't catch what they weren't filming. A single public word finally broke her silence during the entire drama. That changed everything. Within hours, blogs were reposting the clip. Headlines screaming things like Shakira sides with Yandy and evidence that Karlie started the baby shower chaos. By the time everyone arrived at the reunion, the room was electric. And even those who weren't involved could feel the temperature rising. Yandy was calm but collected when she arrived on set, wearing a sleek black outfit with minimal glam and no entourage, when the host brought up the baby shower incident halfway through the reunion. The audience leaned forward, the cast stiffened, the camera zoomed in, and suddenly the topic was live. Karlie arrived later, looking perfect as always, but her usual armor of confidence felt a little cracked. She smiled and posed, but her eyes kept darting around the room as if she was bracing for impact. And impact came quickly. Yandy didn't flinch. She let her finish before taking the mic. "I'm not here to argue. I'm here to be honest. I went to that baby shower with love in my heart, and I left with people wondering who I am. Not because I did anything, but because someone made the decision. I didn't go there looking for drama. I went there to support my friend. What happened wasn't planned. It was unfortunate. But I'm not going to let people rewrite the story. You always want to play the hero, Yandy. But maybe you're not as innocent as you think." Yandy didn't even blink. The host leaned in and asked, "Are you saying someone leaked that footage on purpose?" Yandy looked straight at Karlie and said, "I'm saying someone let me take the fall, and they watched it more than once." Karlie shook her head and laughed softly. "Seems like there's a lot of pain here. Is there any part of you two that wants to make peace?" The host tried to mediate. "Maybe you're not as harmless as you pretend to be." That line echoed. It wasn't loud, but it hit like thunder. Because for months, people had been asking that same question in different ways. Was Karlie really just caught in the crossfire? Or was she the one pulling the strings? Both women fell silent until Yandy said, "I don't need peace with everyone, just with myself." "The same here," Karlie replied. No forced closure, no phony forgiveness, no hugs, just the truth. The reunion continued. The cast changed the subject. The drama continued. But since it was more than simply a baby shower, everyone knew the moment between Yandy and Karlie was the true headline. It has to do with responsibility. It has to do with limits. It was about what happens when a mic is eventually found after years of silent resentment. Weeks later, when the episode was broadcast, it set records for viewers. People witnessed something genuine, unpolished, and unresolved, not because of brawls or theatrics. The comments were inundated by fans. A few pleaded for peace. The maturity was complimented by others. Others sat quietly as they watched two women reflect on their experiences, not just with one another, but also in front of a society that demands they perform all the time. And in the midst of all that chaos, Yandy and Karlie were simply trying to gather their thoughts, rebuild, and understand what it meant to leave, without turning around. Because the truth is, all that remains after the cameras stop recording and the tweets stop. They were finally deciding to live there, even if it meant living apart from you. Where does it all leave us then, now that the side eyes, the quiet, the charges, and the aftermath have all been revealed? Once referred to as family, two women today sit on opposing sides of a highly visible and emotional division. And for a lot of the viewers, Yandy and Karlie are no longer the only focus. It's about the consequences of real-life hurt. It becomes ensnared in the lights of reality TV.